my Area 51 line. You're on the air. Hello.
Welcome to the Blondes and Booze Paranormal Podcast, where what you've known as reality will be shattered by the truth. Krista and Brandy will lift the veil from your eyes, revealing what has either been hidden or denied you for eons.
Hey, happy Thursday.
Happy day before 4th of July, I guess.
Yeah, I had to think about it for just a minute. Good grief, man.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's, most everybody's getting a long 3-day weekend. So,
I'm sorry, Brandy. I'm sorry.
That's all right. It is what it is.
Yeah, I hear you. Sorry, I'm sending the show out to people.
Yeah, Chris and I are kind of like, we're dragging today. We don't understand what the problem is.
No, not at all. I'm just like totally. I went to dinner and I didn't even like eat that much, or like where you get overly full makes you tired.
Yeah.
Nope, none of that. So I can't answer it. I don't know. I
don't either. And I took a nap and I still feel like bleh. I think it's just the continuous heat.
Right.
Granted, we don't have the humidity that we had, but it's just crazy. And plus, me and Kristen were talking, backstage, and the mosquitoes are eating me alive out here.
Yeah, they're awful.
Man, I'm like, maybe that's it. Lack of blood.
Maybe. Bugs are really bad this year. Yeah,
because I open any door and it's like a mass of mosquitoes right there, and I make sure that I turn all my outside lights off, and don't have that going on, and it's still bad.
Yeah. I think it's where you live though, because you have crops all around you.
Yeah, there are crops.
A lot of times water sets, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and plus like a mile down the road, they have rice.
Which, there you go. There's.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's horrible. I'm like, they better not plant rice around my house ever. Because if it's this bad and it's a mile down the road, oh, good God.
I can imagine it being right outside your door.
Right.
Yeah, I totally get it. I totally understand. So anyway, hopefully I am drinking tea. So I hope to wake up. And you got a Pepsi. So, hey, we both got some caffeine things working on.
That's right.
Yeah. So anyway, we got a good show tonight. We honestly, I didn't really have anything planned. And then Al was in Rob's chat, and then we chatted about his brother. So we will be having his brother on, which I'm excited about. But Al agreed to come on tonight. If not, you guys are going to be stuck with just Brandy and I. So
we may be sleeping on the show, but hey, we're here.
Yeah, we're here. We made it. And on time too. We made it. So
right.
Yeah. So anyway, y'all know about the conference. I'm not going to say anything about that. Are we missing anything else, Brandy, we need to discuss?
No, all I do want to do is talk about the conference just a hair. And it's like, if you want to get tickets, get them now. Go to Eventbrite. It's September 19th and 20th at the Eagleton, the Civic Center there in Richmond, Missouri. So get your tickets, everybody. We are coming up fast.
Yep. And I think that's the only thing we have to talk about. So we're good. All right. I'm going to go ahead and just bring Al up.
All right.
Hello.
Hey, ladies. I'm sorry my camera's not working tonight.
Oh, I was gonna say, well, it was nice to see you again, but hey, it's nice to hear you again.
Yes.
Yeah, yes. I mean, I don't know why my camera's not working. It was working yesterday, but I don't understand it. It's a new computer. I'm trying to work out the kinks, but
I went for do you remember that, Brandy, when I didn't have my camera wasn't working?
Yes.
And Al, I kid you not, it was a little bitty little slider thing on top of my camera. That was it. Actually, really? I did 4 shows. I didn't have a camera. Yeah, I couldn't figure it out. I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go buy a new one. And my kid figured it out for me.
Well, I'll call Brian tomorrow. No, it's his
There you go.
birthday, and he'll probably be in Jersey. But I'll
Yeah.
get a hold of him on Saturday or Sunday, and he'll walk me through this because it worked when we did the test. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So I don't know why it's not working now.
I'm telling you, it's going to be something super simple. And you're going to be like, oh my God.
Yeah, not for the life of me. I can't figure it out. But yeah, I know I tried to get my brother for the show tonight, and you guys are gonna love him. And when that fell through, I felt obligated to step in because I tried so hard to get my brother on the show. So I was like, okay, I'll bail you guys out. And I just felt guilty that he couldn't make it. So
well, you should.
That's all right. Just tell him what a time he's missed. He missed the best time ever. You know.
Yeah, I'm sure it is what it is. He just moved. He just moved back from Michigan, and he lives in Connecticut now with his daughter. And they want to go see the daughter and her husband. They want to go to the beach and see the fireworks. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Well, yeah, I would too.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So happy 4th of July, everybody. That is tomorrow. And it's America's 249th birthday. Woohoo.
And it's Brian's 150th, I think.
Yeah,
Brian turns 150 tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be sure to let him know you said
that. I'm sure he's listening already.
He's funny. He's a blast. We enjoy Brian.
Oh yeah, I love him to death.
Yeah, we do too. We do too. So when you and I were chit-chatting, you said that you talked about the Green Goblins. What are the Green Goblins?
Yeah, I don't remember if I ever spoke about the Green Goblin on your show. I'm almost positive I did on Rob's and maybe Texas as well, but I don't remember if I did or if the story sounds familiar, just let me know and we'll move on. We've
got a lot of new people in chat too. So
okay. The Green Goblin, I call it the Green Goblin. My brother said, don't call it the Green Goblin. People are going to think you're an idiot. But to me, it looked like the Green Goblin from the Spider-Man movie back in the 80s or 90s, whenever it was. I don't remember what decade it was. But so that's why I called it the Green Goblin. I was working on a route, and this particular route had what do you call that? Woods behind it, and no one ever walked down these woods. And I had found a couple of bodies in these woods over the years, but this was a really high-end part of town. I mean, really, really, richy area. And it's an aqueduct. They run water from the Catskills down to Manhattan. And it used to be, I think, the Putnam train line. And when they took the train line out, they put the aqueduct in to run the water. And it's just a couple of miles worth of woods. And I was delivering this route. It's it's up one side of the street, down the other, because it's all big buildings and a couple of private homes in between the big buildings. But when I used to walk back at the end of the day, when I finished the route, and instead of walking back down the street back to my car, which says like a 2-mile walk, I would walk down the aqueduct. It cut like a mile off, So I was like, I'm going to I don't know why nobody walks down this, but I'm going to walk down this thing, I don't care. And because I parked my car right where the aqueduct came out. And it crossed over, went under a couple of streets and stuff. So as I'm walking, I started noticing that all the private homes had like these really high fences on the back there. And again, the fences were all like 8-10-foot fences. And all the people who lived in these private homes had big dogs. They had Rottweilers and German Shepherds and Doberman Pinschers and Pit Bulls. And I'm thinking, this is a really, really high-end part of town. Why the hell these people have these tall fences and these killer dogs,
Right.
And so I'm walking back, and and I was holding this route down for like a year because the regular guy was hurt. So I got to know a lot of the people on the route. And the very first house, private house on the route, was an ex-football player. A guy played for the New York Jets. So we would talk football every time I got there. Yeah, he was retired. He was waiting for me, and we would bullshit all the time. And we're talking. And then one day I said to him, I says, hey, man, why do you have like a 10-foot fence in your backyard and this giant, he had an English Mastiff, and it's this giant killer dog. And he says, Al, man, you're not going to believe this, man, but I'm telling you, when I moved here, I had a small fence in the backyard, like a 5-foot fence. I didn't have any animals. And one night I got up to use the bathroom, and his bathroom overlooked the backyard. And he seen what he thought was a person jump over his fence and go to his back door. So he's like, what the hell? He grabbed his baseball bat and he ran downstairs thinking somebody's trying to break into the house, told his wife to call the cops. And as he's going to the back door and he looks out the back door, there's this green looking creature trying to claw its way through the door. Now he had a wooden door with a window in it, and the creature wasn't breaking the window, but it had claws on it, and it was clawing through the wood to get in. And he was like, what the hell is this? And he was banging on the door with the baseball bat, trying to scare it away. And eventually the cops came in, and this thing ran off into the woods. And the cops came, and the cops told him, listen, you should get, a higher fence and get a big dog and change your back door, make it all like a steel door. And he's like, yeah, and he had this big, beautiful colonial house, and he's like, what are you talking about? A steel door? It's a nice neighborhood. I want to look out into my backyard. The cops go, listen, just change the back door, put a steel door up. So he started talking to his neighbors, and the neighbors would tell him, yeah, there's this thing that comes around every now and then. It tries to get into your house, and that's why we all have these big fences and these killer dogs, And he's telling me this story, and I'm not sure if he's pulling my leg or not, you know what I mean? And because he's a big dude, this guy is like 6'9", 400 pounds, And I'm not. I was like, I don't know. I'm sure if he's pulling my leg. But I said, okay, I'll take it for what it's worth. And I'm doing the route, and Saturday everybody's out cutting grass, doing hedges, and I'm like the mayor. I'm talking to everybody. I used to help the older women carry the groceries into the house. You know what I mean? Because they had to climb up a whole bunch of steps to get to the front door, and I would help them carry the groceries in and this, that, and the other thing. And I was talking to one lady we used to call Big Mama. She ran like a halfway house for abused women and stuff. And I was talking to Big Mama, and she's telling me, she goes, oh, yeah, there's things in this neighborhood that the police know it's here, but nobody talks about it. It's like an unwritten rule. And then she starts telling me a story where at one point she had a pit bull, and she had a wooden door in the backyard, and this creature jumped over the fence and was clawing through its door, and it was practically into her house when the pit bull ran down and started fighting with this thing. And this thing was tearing the pit bull up with its claws, And then Big Mama came down, and all the women that were in the house came down, and they started beating this thing with brooms and mops and stuff, calling the cops. The cops came. The cops actually took the dog to the animal hospital and saved its life, And but it took a lot out of the dog. It took a lot of years out of the dog. And she said, yeah, the dog was never the same. And so they had to get a puppy and everything and raise the puppy. And she put a bigger fence up. And I'm hearing these stories. And I'm like, man, this is just insane. This is like the mayor lives in this part of town, and the chief of police lives here. And I mean, these buildings that were the train stopped right inside these buildings that were right along the Hudson and brought these executives to Manhattan. I was like, what the hell's going on in this route, And one day I finished out at the end of the route. There were all condo buildings, and at the end of the route, I'm walking back again. I'm walking back to my car, and I get the feeling that something is following me. You know when you just feel like something was behind you, and I didn't know what was behind me. And as I'm walking along the aqueduct, all the dogs are running to the fences and they're going crazy. And I know they're not barking at me because every time I walked by, I always threw them a milk bone, you know. So I wanted to make sure they liked me when they seen this face. I was a friend, you know.
Right.
Yes.
These dogs were big bad dogs, you know. I didn't want to get bit by any of them. But they were all running up to the fence, jumping against it, going crazy. So I knew, I felt something follow me, but every time I turned around, I didn't see anything. But the dogs must have been able to see it or smell it or whatever, because they were going absolutely insane. So at one point, I was about maybe 25 feet from my car, and I just said, you know what, enough is enough. And I pulled the pepper spray off of my bag. I had 2 pepper sprays, and I ran over to a bunch of leaves, like trees and bushes and stuff, where I just felt there was something there. And I sprayed all these bushes down with the pepper spray, and I turned them red, you know what I mean? And I wanted to see if something was there, if it left, and then I would know something was there, you know? But nothing ever moved. And I'm like, I know I felt something right at that location, you know?
Wow.
Time goes on, and I'm delivering, and I'm talking to some of the supers in the condominium buildings. There's one condominium building that's attached to another one, and they have pools on the roof and beautiful courtyards. And I'm talking to one of the supers, and I said, you know, what's going on around here, man? You know, and I was talking to him, and he said chupacabra. Chupacabra lives in the woods. That's what he said.
Wow.
I didn't know what a chupacabra was at the time, you know? And this guy was from Mexico. And I was like, chupacabra. I was like, yeah. I go, what, you know? So I talked to a couple of Spanish guys at work, and they told me what it was. So the next day I went down there and said, did you see this chupacabra thing, you know? And he said, yeah, I seen it. And I said, where did you see it? He says, I seen it up on the roof. I go, this is like 12-story building. You seen it up on the roof? He goes,
Wow.
yeah, I was up on the roof checking the pH level to the pool when something came out of the pool on the other side that was invisible, he said. And I couldn't see what it was. And he said, but as it walked over to the edge of the building, I could see footprints. He called it like alligator feet.
Oh, wow.
And he said, and then he said, whatever it was jumped off the roof, this 12-story roof, down onto the aqueduct. He said, but he ran to the edge of the building to see where this thing went. He thought it had climbed down the building because those 2 condo buildings, all the back patios were all made out of wood. And he thought maybe he'd climbed down, but this thing jumped off the roof. And when it landed in the aqueduct, it materialized. And he said he's seen it, and he was explaining it to me. He was like, it looked like a lizard. It was green, and this. And I'm like, what the hell is this guy talking about? You know, like, this is insane. I was like, this is like, you know, again, I keep going back to this is a high-end part of town where the mayor and the chief of police lives, and how could this be possible? You know.
Right.
And time goes on, and I'm delivering the mail, and I'm talking, and there were 2 condo buildings that faced the aqueduct. They had beautiful courtyards in them, you know. And one of the buildings, when you walked in, the mail room was on the first floor as soon as you walked in the lobby. But when you went out the back of that building to the next building, you were actually on the 2nd floor of the next building. And on the 2nd floor, the mailboxes were outside on this patio, this walkway that went across the both buildings, you know. And so I'm outside one day delivering the mail, putting the mail in that overfaced the courtyard, that overfaced the aqueduct, and I feel like something is watching me. And I'm delivering the mail, and I'm feel like something's watching me. And I noticed it was in the fall, and I noticed that, like, when the kids came home from school and they got off the elevator, They didn't even look like towards the aqueduct. They got off the elevator and they ran to their apartments. Just like they didn't look there. And I'm looking at these kids running and I'm looking at these women coming home from work. They're not looking. They're not even checking their mail. They're just going to their apartments. And then I started noticing that these buildings had a lot of turnover. People were moving in, but only staying for like a year and then leaving. And I'm saying, why? Why do these beautiful condo buildings, these high-end buildings that cost a fortune to live in, have so much turnover, you know? And so one day I'm on that patio. I'm delivering packages to all the apartments on the outside. We used to bring the packages to the door, right? And I'm outside delivering the pack. And again, I feel like something is watching me. So I go over to the edge of the walkway, and I'm looking down over the courtyard, over the aqueduct. And I noticed there's a lawn chair on the aqueduct facing the building. Like something is sitting in that chair looking at people in the building. And I'm like, what? But this lawn chair belonged to one of the apartments in the building. Like, how did it get on the aqueduct? Did something climb up and take it? It was just crazy. So I feel like someone's watching me. So I go over and I'm looking out into the aqueduct. I'm looking at that lawn chair and I'm like, I know you're there. I can feel you. I don't know what you are and I can't see you, but I know you're there. So give me a sign because I'm not afraid of you. And it flashed its eyes, and its eyes flashed yellow.
Oh wow!
Oh,
and it sent chills down my back, and I got chills right now just telling. And I was like, okay, I'll be right there. And I went downstairs, and I went out into the courtyard, and the aqueduct was like on a 10-foot wall. They had a 10-foot wall that held the aqueduct back. So I was down in this courtyard looking up at the aqueduct, and I'm like, okay, show yourself to me. I want to see what you look like. And then I said, you know what? I've looked very small. If this thing is on a 10-foot wall looking down at me, I feel like it's got the advantage. So what I did was I went and climbed up on one of the picnic tables to make myself as big as I could. I don't know, just a psychological thing for me, you know? And I got up on the picnic table. And I'm standing on the picnic table, and I was like, okay, show yourself to me. I know you're here, you know? And it showed itself to me, and it was this green lizard-looking thing. And I looked at it, and it looked at me, and I said telepathically, I don't know what the hell you are, but I'm not afraid of you. And, you know, and I said, you know, you don't scare me.
Right.
Looked at me and I looked at it and I'm trying to figure out, is it an alien? Is it an insectoid? Is it a lizard creature? What the hell is it? Is it from this earth or is it from outer space? And all this stuff is going through my head like 1,000,000 miles an hour. Vroom, 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 you know, is it from a different dimension? But I didn't get the vibe that it was alien. I got the vibe that it was a cave dweller. Like it was from Earth, but like Middle Earth or something, you know? And I'm looking at this thing and it's looking at me. And we had this Mexican standoff for 5 or 10 minutes or so. And then I said, okay, I got to get back to work. You know, I got a ton of shit to do. And I turned around and I went back to work. And I don't know what it was about me. When I walked down the aqueduct at the end of the day, and, you know, up here in the wintertime, 4 o'clock, it's dark. And I'm finishing the route at 5. So when I'm walking back on the aqueduct, I got a headlamp on because it's pitch black, you know? And I just knew it was there. I knew it was following me, but it never attacked me. It never went after me. And then I was doing another route that was adjacent to this one on the same street. Again, high-end building. It had a north side, no, an east side and a west side. And I got to know everybody in the building. There was a Supreme Court judge, a state Supreme Court judge who lived in the building, and I got to know him. He was a really nice guy and everything. And his daughter lived in the building, but she lived on the east side, and her apartment faced the aqueduct. And I noticed that all the windows that face the aqueduct, like the first maybe 3 or 4 floors, were all had metal grates on them. Like you couldn't break into these apartments. They had like steel bars on them, you know. And I was talking to her, just joking around with her. And I'm saying, man, you know, you're shit out of luck if you get into a fire and you got to go out your bedroom window because you can't get out. Everybody's got these grates on it. And she says, yeah, you know, they're there for a reason. And she had been living there. I mean, she lived there her whole life, but just on the other apartment. But now she's living on the other side of the building. And she said, there's things here. Everybody knows there's things here. And she was like blowing it off. And she was a lawyer. She lived in Manhattan and stuff, but she was a young kid. She was in her early 20s and or mid 20s, I would say. And she said, I'd never seen it, but I heard stories, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, and she's just like, didn't like really give it any mind, you know. And one day, maybe a month or so goes by. One day I'm delivering the mail, and her apartment was right outside the mailboxes, and she's yelling out her apartment door, is there anybody in the hallway? And I'm like, yeah, Cindy, it's me, Al, you know, the mailman. She goes, Al, I need you to go to the other side of the building. I'm like, for what? She goes, please go to the other side of the building. I said, okay. So I go to the west side of the building. She comes out of her apartment with this giant German Shepherd that was like canine trained, crazed dog that wanted to eat me. And I'm like, what the hell is this all about, you know? And I said, I got to do this every time you take this dog for a walk, you know? And she goes, I'll explain when I come back in. She walked the dog, and she brought the dog back in. She put him back in, and she comes out and she says, yeah, you know, I went out one night with the girls from work in Manhattan. We went out for drinks on a Friday night, whatever. And I got home really, really late. And there was always a parking spot in front of where the aqueduct crossed the roads. For some reason, no one ever parked there. So that was my personal spot when I was delivering mail, because I knew there was always going to be a spot there for my car, you know? Came home wee hours in the morning, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. No place to park. She parked in that spot. She gets out of her car and she says, Al, I got out of the car and something came running out of the darkness towards me. And I took off towards her building. Now, her building had a very heavy wooden door, like it looked like something on a castle. It was like 6 inches thick. That was the foyer door to get in. And then they had another glass door behind it that you needed a key to get into the lobby. And she said, I ran to the building and this thing came after me. She said, and I got to the foyer and I closed the foyer door and it started to rip through the door with its claws. And she had one foot on the door to hold the door closed while she was trying to get the key in the other door to get into the lobby. She gets the key into the lobby. As she goes in and she closes the door to the lobby door, which was just a glass door, you know, this thing comes bursting in and now she sees it, what it is. And she sees this creature and it's trying to cut through the glass with its claws. And she runs into her apartment. She calls her father. Father comes down with his 357 and chases the thing around the side of the building and he's shooting at it with his gun. You know, next thing you know, there's 400 cops in the neighborhood because somebody is shooting a 357 on the aqueduct in the middle of the night, you know, and the cops the cops come and they see it's the judge, and the judge says, yeah, something, you know, chased my daughter, try to get my daughter, blah, blah, blah. So, and I was talking, she says, yeah, now I got my gun license too. I take my gun with me everywhere, you know. She says, that'll never happen to me again because I'll shoot it right there in the middle of the road. And I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Where am I delivering the mail to? Is this like insane? I mean, this is a major, it's like the 3rd largest city in the state. And this is a high-end part of town. And there's this creature living in these woods. And these woods were big, and they had devil worshippers in it.
Mm.
And they had tunnels that went under the road to the river that people used in the 30s for bootlegging liquor to bring to Manhattan and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's all kinds of stuff under these roads and in these, and and this thing. And when I see it, and I called it I told my brother it looked like the Green Goblin, and I sent him the picture from Spider-Man. He said that thing is he said it's either an insectoid or it's a reptilian. He said it's one or the other, but it looked like an insect. How do I explain this? It was green, and it had a belly like an alligator, and it had feet like an alligator and claws, but it looked like it had an outer shell. Like it looked like an insectoid with an outer shell, but just with the colors of a lizard. It was the creepiest thing I ever seen. It was so weird.
How big was it?
Oh, it was 6 foot tall. Yeah, it was
big.
It was my height. Yeah, it was my height. Yeah. It was 6 foot tall. Yeah, no doubt about it.
Yeah, so that's why they were saying build those fences so tall.
Yeah, because the small ones would jump right over, and everybody, all the private homes that lined that street in between the big giant condo buildings, all had steel doors in the back with no windows. For some reason, it wasn't intelligent enough to just break the window and go in. It only tried to claw its way through the doors. And when the doors were wood, and they actually, when I was talking to the Mexican super, he told me that they had to change all the sliding glass doors on all of the patios on both buildings, because he was in charge of both buildings, to metal frames, because the wooden frames, the creature would try to get in.
Wow.
Yeah, and it just freaked everybody. And the people on the other side of the street that faced the river, I don't even think they knew about what was going on right across the street. It was just nuts, absolutely nuts. And one of the buildings on the other side, one of the really high-end buildings, I had met the super's wife. Turned out to be a friend of mine from junior high school, and she was telling me, she was like, "Yeah, I'll." Do that side of the street first while it's daytime, and do our side of the street when it's dark, because our side of the street is safer. And I'm looking at her like, what are you talking about, safer? This is a beautiful neighborhood. This is the last place I'm worried about getting attacked or mugged by anybody, And she's like, no, you don't understand what I mean. It's safer to do our side last when it's dark. Don't do the other side when it's dark. And she said, whatever you do, don't ever walk down the aqueduct. I said, I walk down the aqueduct every night. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But,
that's great.
Crazy.
Wow. So how long ago was this?
Oh, this was about 20 years ago now. Yeah.
Have you had any more reports or heard anything else about it?
No, because I left that station many moons ago, and I went to a couple. Like I said, Yonkers is like the third largest city in the state, and it has a lot of different post offices. And whenever I had issues with management, one of the offices, I would just leave and transfer to a different station. I wouldn't put up with that bullshit work under those conditions. I would just leave and go to a different station. So I worked in a lot of different stations, like 4 different stations over the years.
Wow.
But that was absolutely insane. Yeah.
Yeah, that is. I couldn't imagine. I don't think I would put the fence up. I think I would just move.
And a lot of those people who live in those condo buildings that faced that aqueduct did move, because that was their patios. They couldn't sit out on their patios at night and just have a nice conversation, have a glass of wine or something, because something was sitting on the aqueduct looking back at them.
And I like my dogs, so
right,
I have to move.
Yeah.
Right. Were there any daytime sightings at all, or was this thing just seen late at night?
No, I seen it during the day. It showed itself to me during the day. The super seen it first thing in the morning coming out of the pool. I don't know if it was swimming in the pool or drinking the water out of the pool or what, know. And the very last condo complex that faced the aqueduct was built like almost like a horseshoe, and it had a giant pool in the middle. So I'm sure those people who lived in that complex seen it. If not in the pool, definitely when they looked out their windows and that faced the aqueduct. Yeah, like I remember one guy telling me, when you do that last condo building, drive over with your car, and when you finish that last apartment which faced the aqueduct, he said, just run out the front of the building and get in your car and drive away. Don't go down. And I was like, nah, man, I'll walk down to my car. I'll walk back on the aqueduct. You know what I mean? I'm not moving my car 600 times, to do this route, because there's something living in the woods that everybody's afraid of. But like I said, the vibe I got was it wasn't that intelligent, and it wasn't alien, like maybe alien from a different dimension, but not alien extraterrestrial, because it didn't have the common sense to just break the glass.
Right.
You know what I mean? These are just regular windows on these houses. You could just break them with your claws and jump through the window, but it never did that. It always went to the door with that had wood. But it was crazy that it climbed up the side of the building and took patio furniture off of somebody's back patio and put it on the aqueduct to sit there and look at the building, like trying to figure stuff out. Like, how do I get into these apartments?
Right.
I could just see him up there like, oh, hey, I'm going to borrow this.
Could you imagine coming out of the elevator at 2:00 in the morning, and the elevator opens up and you end up on this big walk thing that faced the woods, that's wide open, you know what I mean? And there's something with yellow eyes looking at you, sitting there looking back at you. That's crazy. That's why those kids all, when they got out of the elevator, they just ran to their apartments. And the same thing with the women coming home from work. They didn't even check the mail. They just went to their apartment.
Yeah, see, I would definitely move. If you couldn't even relax, your kids, you couldn't trust your kids just to get off the bus. Yeah.
What are these people thinking when they're going to look at these, these buildings to move in? I mean, like, hey, what's up? What's up with these doors? And, what's up with the bars in the windows?
I guess the big condo, the ones that was attached, didn't have bars on the windows, because the very first floor was like, maybe 20 foot off of the courtyard.
Okay.
It was the older buildings down further down the block on the south end, that first floor window was only like 3 feet off the dirt.
Okay.
So, yeah, no, those didn't have it. But I mean, like, if you went there to look and you seen the sauna and the jacuzzi and the gym and the pool on the roof, I mean, like, yeah, this is a nice place,
And it sounds like it's a matter of status too, going by the folks that live there.
Oh yeah, and you know what?
You're somebody if you live there, I guess.
These woods ran from Hastings, which was north of Yonkers, all the way down to South Yonkers, which was the hood. And when I was delivering down in South Yonkers in the hood, those guys had pit bull fights right in the courtyards of their buildings.
Oh my goodness.
Okay? And they would tell me, dude, whatever you do, don't go back on the aqueduct back to your car. Stay on the street. We don't even walk our dogs back there. These were gangbangers. They wouldn't even go back there to walk their dog.
Wow. You there, Al? Hello?
Hello.
Knock, knock. Hello?
I think he has the same problem I have. You start talking some weird stuff, and all of a sudden there goes your audio. Boom.
I know, right? This is a really interesting encounter.
I know. I mean, I don't know how I would feel, though. I mean, first of all, I would be asking questions about the doors and the windows and things like that. I mean, I wonder what they're trying to tell, possible tenants, about these doors.
Right.
Because they're not telling them, hey, there's something out there that's going to try and claw its way in. So, there's that.
Yeah.
And why is it only staying basically down at that one end? Why
know,
is it not
weird.
going across the street or going around the front of the building a lot? I mean, that would be my question. Maybe it's because that's where it could hide the most, or I don't know. That thing's kind of creepy though.
Yeah.
I mean, he's saying it looks insectoid is the term he used. But
Yeah.
so the way he's describing it to me sounds like reptilian.
Right. Right. But he said
Or-
it wasn't. That he did. Well, not alien. Never mind. Sorry.
Yeah, but maybe we're just dealing with something altogether different that possibly doesn't have a name yet.
I was thinking the same thing.
Because this is the first time I'm ever hearing of a story of something that even remotely looks like this.
Yeah.
So it's kind of creeping me out a bit.
I know. I couldn't imagine though. Like, I don't know why people stay. Like give me a ghost and stuff any day. I can deal with that.
Yeah, it's like shut up, let me sleep.
Yeah, that's what we do too.
Shut up, let me sleep. That's it. That's all we got with it. With the ghosts and stuff like that. I mean, don't get me wrong, ghosts are fascinating and yeah.
But they're not scary no more.
They are not, but they are very intriguing to me because I'm
not scared.
I'm waiting for them to do more. It's like now that the fear, because it is basically, facing your fears with these things and being in these dark spaces and in places that you get the creeps and once you get over that type of fear, I mean, well, you never really get over it, but you try.
Yeah.
But this thing right here is something that is totally different. I don't know.
Can you hear us, Al?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah, we're having bad storms here, and
Gotcha.
I guess I got the Ethernet cable plugged in and everything, and I still lost.
It happens. You know what? It happens. Ask Brandy. She's the queen of bad internet.
Yes. It doesn't matter what kind of internet. You could have the best internet out here. The wind blows. I have nothing.
Yeah, lately we've been getting torrential, like monsoons at night with these crazy winds. It's like 100 degrees during the day, and then all of a sudden at night, boom, we get hit with these monsoons. It's ridiculous. But anyway, so that was my Green Goblin experience. You know what I mean? And I held that route down for a year, and then I moved on to other bigger and better things. But that's pretty interesting to me. We were just talking, like that one would be scary. Ghosts don't scare. I should have sent you the picture of the Green Goblin that I always use when I talk to them. I tell the story. Yeah,
right.
I sent you like 10 million different pictures. You
did.
So let me ask you a question. Okay, so we're describing this as an insectoid / reptilian kind of looking thing.
Yes.
And I'm trying to put it into a category of where I would, describe this thing. But do you know are maybe we're talking something fey?
Right.
I don't know.
Because you're calling it a goblin.
Like
I call it a goblin because
the
only reason I use goblin is because it reminded me of William Dafoe in the Spider-Man movies when he had that Green Goblin outfit on and he was flying around. Yeah.
Well, could we be talking some type of troll or, gosh, I don't know. Al, you got me stumped here.
It had claws for hands, and I guess its feet were more like alligators because when the Mexican guy said when they get out of the water and it walked to the edge, it looked like alligator prints, But it was able to go invisible, and it was able to camouflage itself in the foliage on the trail where I didn't see it. You know what I mean? So it had some abilities, but it wasn't that bright because I don't understand why you wouldn't just jump through the glass.
Yeah.
But
that's just kind of lead me to Faye. Gosh, it's so hard to put this in a category. Al, you introduced me into something new. I I don't know what to do with this.
I'm gonna send you a picture later.
Okay.
This thing, when we sat there and we had our Mexican standoff, it was trying to figure out me. Like, who is this guy? And I'm sure it could hear my thoughts. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I wasn't screaming at it because I don't want people in the building thinking I'm a lunatic. I was talking to it telepathically. So, and I'm sure it heard my thoughts. And I'm not, as much as I was trying to figure out what the hell it was, I think it was trying to figure out, like, why isn't this guy afraid of me when everybody else around here is, and why is this guy talking shit to me,
Right. I would have been one that was scared, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. But see, I think if I would have been scared, I think it would have fed off of that fear. I would have made it more bolder, Like when I turned around and attacked, I guarantee you, I on my hand on a stack of Bibles, I guarantee you, when I sprayed those woods down with those 2 cans of pepper spray, it was there. It didn't leave. It took the pepper spray. Maybe pepper spray didn't affect it because it's got some kind of helmet on or something. I don't know, or it doesn't breathe air like we breathe air. I don't know, but I guarantee you, it was there in those shrubs. Yeah. It just didn't move because it knew if it would have moved, I would have seen it, Yeah. So it just stood still while I turned everything red, And all those bushes died too.
Right. So there, yeah. Lolo said maybe a possible demon. Maybe that's why it couldn't get all the way into the building. Maybe because it wasn't invited. Maybe I don't know.
I didn't get demon vibe from it. I got cave dweller. That was what I got from it.
Wow.
I mean, that doesn't mean anything. It was just the vibe that I got off of it.
Sure.
Like I said, my brain was going 1,000 miles an hour trying to figure out what the hell am I looking at, especially the first time when it flashed those green and yellow eyes. Boom, you didn't see nothing but the eyes flash. I'm like, okay, so my what I'm feeling is true. You are there. You know what I mean? He just validated that for me by doing that. So it was very, very strange, and apparently everybody, like, this area is as high end as it is. It's always had dark stuff attached to devil worshippers in the woods. Finding human bodies on the aqueduct. People who don't know where they came from. Somebody just killed somebody and dropped them off there, you know what I mean? And somebody walking their dog found it a couple of days later. Just all kinds of dark. The woods around it had dark history to it. But like I said, the aqueduct was called the Pelham line, train line, you know what I mean? And when they eliminated that Pelham line, they put the aqueduct in because then they went with the Hudson River line along the Hudson River.
Right.
So, but yeah.
Hello, everybody. I have a question for you, and this is kind of taking us to a different. I know you're in New York area and all that good stuff. Have you ever investigated the Pine Barrens?
No, I've never been down to the New Jersey Pine Barrens. No, it's quite a ride for me to get down there. Yeah, and I wouldn't take that ride by myself. First of all, it's too long. I mean, if it's a 4-hour ride without traffic, then it's like an 8-hour ride because there's always traffic on the Jersey Turnpike. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a long ride, and then once you get in there, I mean, again, it's a location. I wouldn't go alone. I would definitely. And Jersey's a really, really bad state to go armed, because even if you carry, you can carry in New York, you can't carry in New Jersey, and I know armed security guards who work in Manhattan that go home at night, live in Jersey, get pulled over by the state troopers and get arrested for having their gun on them.
Really?
Yeah, they actually arrest armed security, and the guys will show all their IDs, and technically, long as you're in your uniform, you're allowed to carry open,
Yeah.
and the cops, the Jersey state troopers are just no joke. You know what I mean? They lock you up, but then you got to go spend thousands of dollars in court and stuff. So I wouldn't even go down there with my gun,
Yeah,
I would go to New York City with my gun before I went to Jersey.
Yeah, well, the last I heard that part of the Pine Barrens were on fire. Now, I haven't heard much about it since then. I'm assuming they finally got it put out, but I would be interested to see exactly what part of the Pine Barrens was on fire.
Yeah, I didn't even hear about that. You know, it's over 1 million acres, so
yeah,
it's a large lot of land. You know.
I'd still like to go. It's on my bucket list.
Oh, I would love to go down and you can camp in the Pine Barrens. They have campsites, you know.
There we go, Brandy.
So I mean, I would love to go down there and throw up a tent and spend a couple of days in those woods, you know. But again, with other men, you know, and
right.
At least armed with machetes, if nothing else, you know.
I'd feel more comfortable with the pew pew over a machete.
Yeah, oh, well, yeah, me too. But you know,
I don't want to be that close, you know.
No.
But you don't want to go to jail for 10 years.
No, that's not, you know.
Yeah,
absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Because I have to go in and get updated on all the laws in the different states for where I'm at for my license for my conceal and carry, but they give you all the other states and where, you know, your CCW will, you know, hold up, and then what states it won't.
Yeah, from Virginia to Maine, it won't. And from Virginia north to Maine, it won't.
You know, and I'll have to look at it again, but I think there's like one state in there that maybe
probably New Hampshire, and maybe Pennsylvania, but even Pennsylvania starting to change now too.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I just bought one of those things for a friend of mine who just retired, and he's a you know, a concealed carry holder, and I said, listen, I know he's taking his RV cross country, you know, and I know he's going with his guns. I know that for
absolutely.
So
absolutely.
I said, take this pamphlet with you so you know where you can go, where you can't go, and when you're someplace you can't be, how the gun should be put away legally. So if something happens and you get pulled over, you don't go to jail.
Right.
You know. But,
absolutely. Like some states, you have to have the magazine, you know, in a different spot than the actual pistol itself, and it can't be within, you know, how many feet. So it has to be, like, say, one part has to be in the glove compartment, the other one has to be in the trunk. You know, how's that going to save me?
It's not.
I'm just asking.
No, it's not. That's
it's like every state you drive in, you have to kind of look it up and say, okay, so here's this.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I know. I got the New York and Utah. The only one I really need now is Florida, and I'll be set for most of the country, you know. But I don't go anywhere anyway. So it's not like I'm going. I'm not like I'm going cross country in an RV, which I would love to do, but yeah, it's just not working out right now in my life. I got too much construction going on at my house, so I can't go anywhere. But
that just tells you we're still too young.
Not me, I'm not.
Yes, we are. If we still got stuff to do at our home and we can't go out there, yes, it is. Trust me. We're just too young for all that.
No, not me. No, I disagree. I'm the right age for that.
Yeah.
I just got to convince my wife we got to rent an RV because I'm not buying one for, you know, $60,000
or more.
Yeah, or more. Yeah, you know, I'll just rent one for the duration. It'd be a lot cheaper than trying to buy one.
Oh yeah, my dad.
Yeah, because I'd have to sell my house and then get another loan on top of that.
Yeah, really.
So my dad and my stepmom, they had one of the big buses.
Nice.
And it was more than any house. I mean, it was really, really nice inside. But they traveled. I called them my gypsy parents because they were all over the place.
Yeah.
But their nicer than a lot of homes.
Oh, my cousin's got one. It's like 45 feet long. I don't know how. It's ridiculous. It sleeps like 20 people. It's just insane. All the stuff it has. It's a home away from home.
Absolutely.
He's not living without any other luxuries. He's not missing anything when he's on the road. Put it that way.
Right.
That's the life for me.
Yeah. Hey, amen. Me too.
Yeah.
Let's just make a concealed carry reciprocity throughout the whole country. Then we won't have to worry about taking our guns anywhere.
Right. Well, I've got about 9 states around me, then I'm good. There's only like one smack dab in the middle that causes the problem.
Which
and
one
that's
is
Illinois.
that?
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
it's Illinois. And I'm gonna call them out right now.
Yeah,
Illinois.
Yes.
Yeah, it's that. Their laws are kind of wacky.
Yeah, their laws are insane. Absolutely. I'm a 2A advocate. I know. I get all the paperwork from all the different gun groups. I'm a member of everything. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Illinois makes it kind of crazy. So you have to stop, and then you have to fix everything, and then drive on through.
Yeah, so don't stop.
Yeah.
Just drive on through. Yeah.
Just drive on through.
Yes.
There you go.
Well, where do you want to go next?
Let's go down some cryptid roads that you've investigated. Talk about some of that.
I know. I don't think I discussed the last few times I went out. When I went out with my cousin, I think it was 2 years ago. I don't know if I was on your show when I talked about this, but we're going to the sacred site. 2 years ago, I think there was a full moon and a solar eclipse, and then 2 weeks later there was 1% of the moon and a solar eclipse, and then 2 weeks later there was a full moon and a lunar eclipse. And of course I wanted to be out there for both, you know, and I talked to my cousin. I said, Sean, you want to come? Yeah. So we went out for the first one, and the first one we hiked in to the sacred site like we always do, and we went up there, and that was the night that we talked to the psychic, and she said that this thing was going to come through. She called it a bear squatch. She said it's not from this realm. It doesn't know what humans are. It's dangerous. Be careful. She said you're also going to see all kinds of there's going to be all kinds of stuff coming in that night. She called them. She said they showed themselves to her as elves, but she said they weren't elves. They were tricksters. She said, and you have to be careful with them, because not that they're dangerous so much, but they will do stuff where you could get hurt. They'll pull a chair out from under you or something like that. Or if you're walking down the mountain, they may push you from behind. So be careful with that, And there was so much stuff going on. I had to write it all down because I can't remember it all. It was just too much stuff. There was just too much stuff that happened. And we were sitting there, and I set up glow sticks around us, different colored glow sticks around us. And there was like a pink glow stick to my cousin Sean's right. And it started dancing, started moving around by itself.
Oh, wow.
And Sean's like, yo, cuz, do you see this? And I looked at it and I go, yeah, that glow stick's moving. So I know where I placed all the glow sticks. It was a color pack that had one color of like 5 different colors, but there was only one color of each. And I said, let's go over and look at the glow stick. And we got up, because I figured if something moved that glow stick, and we filmed it. I got video of it. It's a great. It's dancing all over the night sky, and we're just sitting there. You hear us talking like, holy shit, what the hell's going on? And we get up and we go over to the glow stick, and the glow stick is back. Now I'm thinking, I know where I put it. What are the odds that whatever's moving at is going to put it right back where I put it exactly, right?
Sure.
I'm thinking the odds are pretty slim. They're going to put it in a different spot. Well, we go over, and the thing is right where I left it, like right exactly where I put it. And then as time goes on, I got a purple one to my side, His was pink, I think. Then the purple one to my side started dancing, and we went over. We looked at that, and then all the way to our far right, there was a green one that started dancing. And I had them all over. I had them on rocks. I had them in trees. I had them on branches. I had them on logs. I had them all over the place.
Wow.
Every time we went over and looked at them, they were always right where we left them. And we're sitting there and call the psychic up, and we tell her what's going on. And she says, these are the trickster things. She goes, one of you are going to get touched tonight by the tricksters. You're going to feel them touch you. And she goes, but these are the trickster things. And she goes, oh, by the way, if something comes in the sacred site, like runs towards you, whatever, don't worry about it. It can't hurt you, because I had gone to the sacred site earlier and cleansed it and sealed it. You know what I mean? I had gotten a vision from the white Sasquatch that calls himself Alarek. He says he's an elder and he's a king shaman, and he told me to go there and cleanse and seal it. So I went and I cleansed and sealed it. So we're sitting there, and she says, as long as you stay within the sacred site, you'll be protected. So we're sitting there, and me and Sean are sitting there in the dark. We got the headlamps off, and we got some glow sticks around us for ambient light. And then we got the glow sticks that are lit up that I set up. Now, the ones I set up were different colors. The ones that was in front of us were all like one color. I think they were green or something, to try to get as much colors light as we could. And we're sitting there, and all of a sudden, something black comes running out of the darkness towards us. Small, It's about 3 feet tall. It looks like a little chimpanzee to me, coming running on all with his hands, right? And it's coming at me, and I'm going, Sean, do you see this? And he says, yeah, I see it. And it came and it ran around me, and it ran around Sean, and then it ran back into the darkness. And we just looked at each other like, what the hell was that? Now, here's the crazy thing. This is a late October. There's so much leaf litter on the ground that you can't walk without making a ton of noise. Whatever this thing was that came charging at us, around us, and then ran away from us, never made any noise. Like it was running above the leaves. And I go, what would you call that? And he goes, I don't know. Was that a baby squatch? This is like Sean's first time out, right? Squatching. And he goes, was that a baby squatch? And I was like, I don't think that was a squatch. I said, to me, kind of resembled cheetah from the Tarzan movies. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Running on all fours, So he goes, yeah, but it didn't make any noise. I go, I know. I don't know how it doesn't make any noise with all this leaf litter. So we're sitting there, and we've been in there for a long time, and the energy location is making us crazy. And call the psychic up, and we tell her about that. And the psychic says, okay, listen, I don't want to scare you guys, but there's an alien behind you.
Thanks.
It's in the shimmer state. So look about 90 feet behind you in the shimmer state by a tree. There's an alien. And I'm like, Cynthia, you've lost your mind. You know what I mean? Now we're dealing with, we got some kind of little monkey creature running at us. We got the tricksters moving our glow sticks. Now you're telling me there's an alien behind me? And, of course, we argue like a married couple, me and the psychic. We've been dealing with it for a long time. And my cousin's laughing hysterical. And as I'm on the phone with her arguing about this psychic, about this alien, a rock comes flying in behind me and hits me in the back of my head. Now, that particular night, I had just bought these new headlamps, really, really powerful headlamps. And the back of their headlamp, where you put the batteries, was metal. And this thing hit that metal piece so hard it dented it. So I turned around, me and Sean turned around, we put our headlamps on, and we're looking for the shimmer like 90 feet away. And I got her on the phone, and I'm like, Cindy, I don't see shit. Something just hit me with a rock. Was that a Bigfoot? No, it wasn't a Bigfoot. It was a goddamn alien. I'm feeling alien energy. She's telling me, don't tell me what I'm feeling, And as I'm arguing with her on the phone, my cousin Sean goes, watch out. Another rock is coming in at us. As we move, it hits my chair, which is metal, dings off my chair. And I'm like, and Sean is like, come on, let's go. Let's go find this alien. I'm like, slow down. Don't get caught speeding. I said, he's only 20 years old. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm like, this may be a ploy to get us out of the sacred site. We're safe long as we're inside the sacred site. The site is bound and cleansed. We go out looking for this thing. Maybe that's exactly what it wants us to do. Let's just stay in here where we're safe until this thing leaves, right? So he goes, all right. So then Cindy says, all right, call me if anything else happens. So we're sitting there. And all of a sudden I notice I'm looking at 3 yellow glow sticks looking back at me about 100 yards away. And I'm like, why are there 3 yellow glow sticks looking back at me? There was only 1 yellow glow stick in that pack. Why are there 3 yellow glow sticks? So I'm thinking, am I hallucinating now? Have we been here too long? So I go, Sean, come here, look over. What do you see? Tell me what you see there. He says, I see 3 yellow glow sticks. I said, okay, you see 3 yellow glow sticks. I see 3 yellow glow sticks. Let's go see what these yellow glow sticks are. So we get up and we're walking over, and we get about 50 yards closer to it when 2 of the yellow glow sticks blink.
Oh, no.
So I stop. I reach out and I stop Sean. I go, stop right here. I go, did you just see that? He goes, yeah, 2 yellow glow sticks blink. I said, it's time to put our headlamps on. I go, let's put them on flood, because these headlamps went from flood to spot. I said, you put yours on flood, I'll put mine on flood, and let's light up as much of this mountain as we can, And we light it up. We light up the area, and there, next to that one little yellow glow stick in the bush that I had put there, is this thing that starts to stand up, and it goes up, and it goes up, and it goes up, and we're standing there and we're looking at it. And it gets to the peak, and it's like 10 feet tall. And it's this bear squatch that Cindy's talking about. And Sean goes like, what do we do now? I said, well, we pull out our machetes and we back out slowly. And we must have freaked this thing out, because psychic said it wasn't from this realm. It didn't know what humans were. But here we are looking at it with these one headlamp in the middle of our head. It's just like one giant eye.
Right.
We must have freaked this thing out, because it turned and it ran north up the woods along the western ridge. And when at the far end of the circus site, there's a 4-foot stone wall. It's like 4 feet high, 3 feet thick. I thought it jumped over the wall and it took down all the trees on the other side, because it sounded like a bulldozer going through the woods, right? Wow. So we call Cindy. We told her what happened. And she says, why are you guys going over to this thing? I told you this thing was dangerous. What the hell's wrong with you? Like, well, we didn't know what it was, because it was squatted down next to the yellow glow stick. So once it stood up, we backed away. She goes, okay, it's time for you guys to leave. All right. So as we're leaving, we're walking along the Appalachian Trail next to the lake. The trail runs along this 52-acre lake. And as we're walking, this thing must have came back. And it threw a rock off the top of the mountain that landed about 10 feet to our left in the lake. And when it hit the water, the splash went up about 20 feet. So we both looked at it, and we see this giant splash go up. And my cousin Sean looks at me and says, what the hell is that? And I said, don't worry about it. It's just a beaver, I told him. Just a big beaver. We got big beavers up here. He's from the city. He doesn't know, that we got big beavers up here. Don't worry about it. He goes, that was a beaver. I go, that was a beaver. In the meantime, I turn my headlamp from flood to spot, and I'm looking up the top of the mountain for eye shine or this thing standing on a rock because wherever this came from, it came from a good distance, you know. And it just happened to be right in the area where there was a burn, like something like there was a fire in the woods. So everything was burnt out. So if it was standing on one of the big rock outcroppings and threw this giant boulder at us, it would have had a clear, line of sight to us. So we get out, we finally get to the car, and I tell him, okay, I'm going to be honest with you, that wasn't a beaver. You know what I mean? I think the bear squatch came back and it was pissed off that we scared him out, and then we went back. The second time we went back, Cindy says, okay, you're not going to go in the regular way. You always go in. You're going to take a trail you've never been on, she said, and you're going to come to forks in the road, and you have to make the right choice every time. Because if you don't make the right choice, your lives could be in jeopardy.
Wow.
What the hell are you talking about, our lives?
Right.
I said, first of all, I always go in the same way. She says, I'm telling you, you're going to take a trail in that you've never taken, and things are going to follow you. And I said, what things? What's going to follow me? And she said, okay, I'm going to tell you. You're going to see a Wendigo, and you're going to see a skinwalker on the trail to the sacred site. And I said, you're out of your effing mind. I was like, I've never seen Wendigos in the Northeast, and I've never heard of skinwalkers up here either. I was like, and I'm not taking a trail I've never taken.
Right.
I called my cousin Sean. I said, can you come with me? He says, oh, I got to work. You're going to have to do this one by yourself. I said, okay, I'm going because I want to see what the difference is. Tonight's the night where we have the solar eclipse, but the full moon,
Right.
So he calls me. He says, listen, I'm getting out of work early. Come get me. We'll go together. I said, good. I go get him. He ends up working late. Now we get back to the park and ride where the Appalachian Trail is. We can't go in the regular way I go in. The regular way I go in, it's a 4-mile hike to the sacred site. I have to take a trail I've never been on, and this trail to the sacred site is like an 8-mile trail. And I got 50 pounds of crap on my back. So we start hiking in. And we're walking, and I don't know where the hell I'm going. I'm on a trail I've never been on, and I'm focusing because I got this in the back of my head. If we come to a fork in the road and I take the wrong fork, we can end up dead, And the last thing my cousin said to me, the cousin's father said to me, is bring my son back in one piece, It's the only one I got. And I started laughing. Don't worry, I'll bring him back. So we come to our first fork in the road, and there's no marker on the trees. Usually the Appalachian Trails, they have markers, the white paint. Well, there's no marker. And I was like, oh man, what do I do? I was like, I'm going to go with my gut. My gut's telling me to go left. So I start to go left, and I look up. A little voice in the back of my head says, Al, look up. And I look up, and there's a break at like the 8-foot level, and it's pointed to the left. And I slap Sean on the back, and I go, you see that? That's a Sasquatch marker. And he's marking the trail for us. That's how we're going to get to the what you call tonight. Every single time we came to a fork in the road and there was no marker, the trail wasn't marked, there was always a break to my left pointing the right way. So as we're walking, Sean says to me, yo, cuz, do you have a giant elk in these woods? I'm like, what are you talking about, giant elk? He's like, there's something following us. I'm so locked in on staying on the right trail that I'm oblivious to what's going on around me because I got to stay focused. I got to get us to the main, to the Appalachian Trail. And I go, what are you talking about? He goes, turn around slow. I think we have a giant. I said, Sean, we don't have giant elk in New York. We may have moose, but we don't have giant elk. I turn around, and it's a goddamn Wendigo standing there. It's not an elk.
Really?
It's a
wow.
Wendigo. And I look at him, he's got blue eyes. It's looking at me. And did the Wendigo have blue eyes or green eyes? I don't remember. Maybe I had green eyes. And it's looking at me and it's looking at him. And it looks like an animal. It doesn't look like a human, you know? It looks like an animal. And I was like, you know what, Sean, as long as we stay on the right trail, this thing's not going to bother us. So now we're walking. We're going left. We're going right. We're staying on all the right trails. And Sean turns to me and he says, can I ask you a question? I was like, yeah. He says, we got skinwalkers in New York. And I'm like, what in God's green earth made you say that? You know, I didn't tell him anything that Cindy told me. I didn't want to freak him out. He's a 20-year-old kid. It's the second time he's in the woods with me, you know?
Sure.
And I go, Sean, what the hell made you say that? And he says, turn around. And I turn around to our right. And there's this thing that looks like a Native American, but not alive with red eyes. And I got the skinwalker to my right and the Wendigo to my left. And they're following us, like waiting for us to make the wrong turn. And I'm like, you gotta be. I was like, I can't believe this. So we just keep walking. We walking. Finally, we get up to the sacred site. Everything is good. We call the psychic, and she says, "Okay, tonight all bets are off." She says, "You're gonna see." I said, "Are there any Bigfoots in the woods tonight?" She said, "No Bigfoots." She said, "Al, the veil is wide open. Everything and anything is going to come through this place, a place of high strangeness. I'm telling you, you're going to see skinwalkers and wendigos and rakes and dogmen." I'm like, wait a minute, dogman? This is the Sasquatch sacred site. I've never seen a dogman on this side of the lake, on this side of the woods. She said, you're going to see a dogman. They're all going to be working together. She said, whatever you do, don't leave that sacred site until I tell you it's safe to leave there. She says, you're also going to see shadow figures. Shadow figures. She said, you're going to see shadow figures. So we get there. We're sitting there. And as the night goes on, you see like this thing go across the western ridge. It's got the red eyes. Okay, that's the skinwalker. It's got the green eyes. That's the wendigo. It's got blue eyes. That's the rake. It's got the yellow eyes. It's the dogman, and they're all lined up on the western ridge, on the top of the ridge, looking down at us. And we're like, what the hell is going on? I'm trying all of my equipment. Nothing is working. None of my cameras are working. I'm trying all my high-tech stuff that reads radiation, all kinds of like that. Everything is just out of whack. Nothing is working properly. Compass is spinning like a top, just out of control. And we start seeing these shadow figures walking down at the bottom of the western ridge, like walking, pacing back and forth, but not just one or two. There's like 6 of them. So I called the psychic and I said, Cindy, shadow figures are on. They've come down off the ridge. They're on the bottom of the ridge and they're walking back and forth. She goes, yeah, they're trying to figure out a way to get into the sacred site. She said, just stay where you are and you'll be okay. I'm like, okay. And none of my cameras are working and none of my high-end equipment is working. And me and Sean are sitting there and we got an invisible helicopter come over us, not once, but twice. We hear a ghost train go by through the woods. There's no train tracks in these woods. We hear a Sasquatch screaming on the eastern side of the woods, which is the dogman side of the woods. Is screaming and he's running across the woods like he's coming towards us, and he's moving so fast. Every time he screams, it's like a mile further away. My cousin is like, can they run that fast? And I'm like, sure, the only way they can run that fast is if they're going in and out of dimensions, because this thing is here and then it's here, and I mean miles and miles away from every time it screams, it's another mile away. And this is only like 3 seconds later. You know what I mean? And it was just insane. That night was insane. I've never experienced
Sounds like it.
crazy stuff. And my cousin Sean is like, dude, you were going to come in these woods alone tonight? And I was like, yeah, I was going to come in these woods alone. But if I would have came in alone, I would have came in earlier and I would have took the trail I always take. So maybe I wouldn't have seen the Wendigo and the Skinwalker on the other trails because I wouldn't have been on them. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
but yeah, it was just everything she said just played out exactly the way she said it.
Wow.
Yeah, it was just crazy.
That's incredible, really,
Yeah, it is.
It's nuts. I mean, like I say it all the time. Not in my wildest imagination did I ever expect to see any of this stuff.
Right.
I don't know what I'm going out to experience. I'm just going out to experience something because when I read up on these two events in the same month, it only happens like once every 15 years or something, If 15 years from now, I'll be way too damn old to go out and make this hike. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like the short version is a 4-mile hike, never mind the long version.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and then to see a Wendigo.
Yeah. And it was big. It had to be like 9 feet tall. It was tall. And then with the horns made it even bigger. But the Skinwalker was short. The Skinwalker wasn't more than 6 feet tall. I mean, Sean's like 6'5", Sean was taller than it. It was about my height, 6 foot, maybe even smaller than me. But it was weird. It was weird. I looked up all the Native American, like, evil spirits in this area and everything, and they have different names for witches and stuff than the ones out west and everything. And when I say Skinwalker or Wendigo, it's because that's what people can relate to. If I use the names that the Native Americans up here used, no one would know what the hell I'm talking about, So
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. I couldn't imagine having a night like that. Could you, Brandy?
Not really.
Oh, you guys would have loved it. You guys would have loved it. You would have ate it up. You would have been so pumped. I was so tired when I got to the sacred site after hiking that 8 miles in, with that 50-pound pack. I was exhausted. But when the moon came out, that full moon came out, and the moonbeam was hitting me, it ate me. I didn't leave the woods till 2:00 in the morning. My cousin's like, dude, when are we going home? I'm like, dude, I could stay here all night. I'm so revved. I'm so energized, like I don't want to leave. We got all this crap happening tonight. This is insane. I said, you don't understand the shit you've experienced the 2 times you came out with me. People don't experience in a lifetime, I can't emphasize that, this doesn't happen every time you go out.
Yeah. Man, that is crazy. That I just couldn't imagine. Like, I mean, you're dealing with the green goblin, first of all, and then come on here and talk about this. That's just.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, because we associate the Skinwalker and, the Wendigo on the evil side of things.
Right.
That may have been too much for me for one night.
I was thinking that too, been like.
I mean, one, okay, I'd have dealt with that, but when you're seeing multiples,
yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I think I could have just turned around and went home.
No, because they were behind you. You weren't turning around.
Okay, so I would have found another way around.
Yeah, you would have found another way. You would have made your own path out of the woods.
That's right. That's right. I sure would have.
I took my machete and cut my way out. Absolutely, but no,
that's
I mean,
it.
It's just crazy. I mean, just the stuff you experience. Like I tell people all the time, when you go in the woods, especially squatchers who believe that Bigfoot is nothing but flesh and blood. Okay, that's fine. You can believe whatever you want. That's okay. But when you go to the woods, protect yourself physically and spiritually. There are things in those woods that you will not, your brain can't even not comprehend. You can't even imagine. There are things in those woods that come out, and we've experienced everything at this location, from gnomes to fairies and everything in between. It's just absolutely insane. Yeah.
Wow. Can you guys hear that? Like, they got fireworks going off right out my back door.
I don't hear it.
Yeah.
Don't hear it. Yeah.
Pretty interesting. Anyway, well, wow, this hour and a half has flew by.
Just
It
flew
did.
by.
It
This
sure
is
did.
gone.
Absolutely did. Thank you so much, Al, for coming on. We definitely appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. I wanted to talk ghost stuff tonight. That's why I sent you all those ghost pictures.
Well, how about you
Another
come back?
time. I know,
and we
another
talk
time.
ghosts.
Just come back. It's just come
Another
back.
time.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
When the camera's working.
Yeah, well, I don't know why the camera's not working tonight.
Yeah.
That's another thing that is going to drive me absolutely insane.
Yeah, I will. How about we'll get you back in August,
Okay.
and we'll talk ghost.
Okay.
Yeah, that
Sounds
sounds good.
like a plan.
Sounds like a plan. Before we sign off, really quick, want to thank BMR, Alan Howell, and Brandy. Appreciate all that. And then tomorrow night is the 4th of July, as everybody knows. We will not have a show tomorrow evening. So
No.
everybody that is celebrating, stay safe and keep all your fingers.
Yeah, keep all your fingers. I'm going to, I think I'm going to sit back and get my snacks and I'm going to watch a movie.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, I'm going to go watch fireworks because I guess. Real quick too, our paranormal team next weekend, we have a ghost investigation and it is at the Pythian Castle in Springfield, Missouri. I've been there many times. It is a beautiful building with lots of history. Thank you, Alan. Appreciate it. It's lots of history, beautiful building, and it's very haunted. So if anybody's interested, you can go to Haunted Soulz Paranormal and tickets are on sale there. And I believe, Brandy, you're going? Are you going to that?
Actually, I am not. I have to sit this one out.
Gotcha. But I'll probably be there. So, yes.
And it's air conditioning, everyone.
It
It's
is air conditioning.
You got air conditioning.
Yes, it is air
You don't know how wonderful that is when you're ghost investigating.
Especially like last weekend, there wasn't air conditioning.
Exactly.
Yeah. So anyway, but we appreciate everybody tuning in, and then we'll see you all next week. And have a safe and happy 4th of July, and don't eat too much barbecue.
There it is. And thank you all for showing up and keeping us entertained. Absolutely.
Thank you, lady. The pleasure's all mine. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Crossing Realms Conference is coming this September 19th and 20th to the Eagleton Civic Center in Richmond, Missouri. Tickets to this landmark event are on sale right now at Eventbrite. The powerful speaker lineup will cover topics from Bigfoot, UFOs, and aliens, so you will not want to miss attending this amazing 2-day inaugural event. Again, that's the Crossing Realms Conference, this September 19th and 20th at the Eagleton Civic Center in Richmond, Missouri. Please mark your calendar and get your tickets before they vanish. Space is